although I heard Moshe Kusevitsky live, when I came to the States in 1958, I got a position to daven on high holidays in Long Island, New York. And the contract that I was obliged to do is Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, but it didn't have to do slichas. So I went to Borough Park in New York, and I went to hear Moshe Kusevitsky. The service began at 12 o'clock, midnight, which is the traditional time to start. And it took about 2.25 hours, 2.5 hours, the slicha service. Not one person got out before it was finished. Had to pay $5 for a ticket to hear Moshe Kusevitsky. And in front of me, I then realized, was sitting, all you know, the place was packed. In front of me was singing Richard Tucker, the opera singer, who wanted to hear the Chazan Moshe Kusevitsky. And Richard Tucker started his career first as a Chazan, and then somebody heard him and became a star of the Metropolitan Opera House. So what I'm trying to tell you is that on the one hand, we have to be very practical, very realistic of what congregation today is, what congregations, who are the daveners, who are the worshippers, and to recognize that what was before we cannot repeat. But we should never throw out the baby with the bathwater. You know that expression? In other words, if you want to throw out the bathwater, if there's a baby, hold on to the baby. In other words, we have to hold on to the classic chazanut, even though we are not able to do as much of it nowadays. But you can always learn how to improvise, and that's a skill that not everybody has. But it's a very spontaneous ability to take a text, to look at the meaning of it, and to know the nusach of that prayer. But the nusach can be done in so many, this is what's so wonderful about nusach, that you stick to the nusach, but you can still improvise within the parameters of a particular nusach. Leib Glantz, for example, to illustrate nusach, he sang a piece, we don't have the time to illustrate, and it is 7 prayers, one transitioning into the other one. Every one of them starts with the word ata. Because ata echad u'shmo echad, ata echad from the mincha service on Shabbat afternoon, and then it's got ata nigleta, and ata horeita ladat for Simchat Torah, and ata yatzarta from Shabbat Rosh Chodesh in the Musaf. Everyone has its own nusach, and he went from one to the to show you these different 7 prayers, each one done in a different nusach, and it was very clever. He just took the word of each prayer that starts with the word ata, ata zocher, from the Zichronot and Rosh Hashanah. Yeah. So he was very inventive. People in Israel, he was a Chazan in the United States, in Los Angeles, and then they moved to Israel. There they understood exactly, because they knew the words very well in Israel. People, composers and musicians who were secular Jews who never went to shul, came to Slichat on Shabbat. They wanted to hear Chassid Leib Glantz, because he had something that was so special that they appreciated. He was a great scholar, he was a poet, he was a friend of the most dignified people in Israel. He was a friend of Salman Shazar, who was president of Israel, and when he died, the very president of Israel was present at the funeral of Leib Glantz, because they appreciated what this personality was. All I can share with you is that you never end studying. Studying is not something that you go a certain time and then you're finished. In America, North America, they call it, when you graduate, they call it a commencement service, exercise, commencement, because you finish one and you continue on. I always love to teach, but you can do that if you always love to study and learn more. See? So I would say to you, focus yourself of studying for the rest of your life. And if that's what you want to do, the more you study, the more you know, the more you feel fulfilled, and the more you can share. I told you before, you can be on the bima and find opportunities in your congregation to teach them and tell them why are you passionate about what you're doing. Explain to them why you're passionate. And if they don't know, if you don't understand, you say, then yet vishinantam levanecha, you've got to teach them. And you can teach them only if you teach yourself first.
Yeah.
So I always love to have adult education. I always love to teach. And every time I pick the topic, not only Nusach, not only trope, but a topic that I wasn't quite sure, so I studied. So I gave them a course on the Yiddish art song. I gave them a course on Yiddish folk song, which is not the same. I gave them a course on Israeli composers who used Bible and biblical text, and then I would have a course on Sephardic music and Latino music. Gave them a course on the history of Jewish music. Gave them a course on the music of Salomone Rossi. Very fascinating topic, and on and on. So the more I was teaching, the more I knew that I better know know more, and that's what I want to leave you with, because it's been my life, my passion, and I've enjoyed it so much, and I've gotten so much out of it, and I would love to see more and more young people and older people and congregants who would appreciate what this is all about. And the same thing with trope. I was going to talk to you about trope, but because the very word trope is a very interesting word, terminology, that we don't exactly know the roots of it. It's not Hebrew, it's not Yiddish, it has to do with a medieval text which Rashi first makes a comment about, and as I said, I don't have the time to do it this time, but I'll be glad to share with your director of what that topic is, and maybe he can work with you on that as well. So with this, I would say I have somebody who's going to pick me up 9, 10, and so on. If you have any questions or queries or what you think, I was yesterday in Mendoza, and I went to the school, talked to the children, and sang with them, and it was wonderful. At the end, they all came with a little piece of paper. They wanted my autograph. A rock star. But I said to them, do you have any questions to ask of me? Guess what the question was? How old are you? So before I gave them the answer, I said, why don't you guess how old I am? So we had all kinds of answers. Some little beautiful girl, she said, 42. So I said, you're a very nice girl. Another boy said, you're 58. I said, you're a very nice boy. Another one said, 92. I said, you're not a nice boy. Anyway, thank God, I'm very happy to share with you. I will be, please God, November 25th, going to be my birthday, and I will be 76. And I feel very good, thank God, Baruch Hashem. I retired from my position in Bethel. It's in Washington, D.C., it's a suburb of Washington, and I was there for 21 years. But since then, when they heard in Washington that I was retiring, there was a synagogue in this district. They said, we are now in between Chazanim, would you daven for us for the high holidays? So I said, yes, I'd be glad to. And then they still couldn't find a Chazan, so I saw that I was the interim Chazan for the year. And then I sang the second year. And last year I did the high holidays in Cincinnati, which was wonderful. And my daughter and grandchildren lived there. So that was very good. We were able to daven high holidays and also see the grandchildren and so on. So please God, next year, I don't know where I'll sing, but I know I probably will sing some of the high holidays, so long as I've got my health and my voice is still working, so that's good. If you sing well, and if you do it without abusing your voice, you can sing, well into an old age. But you're all such young people, so that you don't have to think about that. But because it's my passion, and if I can do it, and if people still are willing to have Jazan Lubin to do high holidays, I'm willing to do it. So I want to thank you the opportunity for inviting me and for having to struggle. Jews struggle all the time to find a CD player that works. And finally, we've been able to hear the words and the singing of one of the great Chazanim that I was inspired by, and that's Leib Glantz. They called him Leibele Glantz, like Yossel, they say Yossel and Roskla. And now his son is finishing to publish a book with 25 of his best pieces worked out by a wonderful musician in Jerusalem. His name is Raymond Goldstein, the pianist and arranger, and he's arranging for choir and Chazan and so on. And that will be published as well. And if you're interested or where you can get it and so on, you can connect with me, and I'll put you together with Dr. Jerry Glantz, and he can send you all of the materials of all the books that was published.
You need my materials, yes.
You do material, yes. So, but any Chazan of the great Chazanim, and any of the modern Chazanim, there are a lot of talent out there. I think to myself, there's, with beautiful voices, composers. We have several Chazanim from Buenos Aires. Gaston Mamagani. I spoke to him before I came, and he's very, very, very talented, as you know, and he gets invited to do concerts all over the place. So I encourage you to continue your passion, to study as much as you can, and to be a model, to say the services are much more beautiful with this Chazan than when there is no music and so on. Because in Judaism, we never just pray without singing of it. It was always with Tefillah. You're not supposed to read the Torah without the trope, and you're not supposed to daven without nusach, and you're supposed to always daven with singing. Because there comes a point beyond the words. There is a very famous quote in the Zohar, which is the Kabbalistic work. It says that there are mansions in heaven that are open only to song.
Yeah.
Very, very touching, very profound comment. So I want you to always think and know that there are certain mansions, Eichalim, Eichalot, in the heaven that is open only for singing. If you come with a lot of talk and preaching, they don't listen. But when you sing, it opens up the gates of heaven.
Yeah.
So I hope that you'll always sing with a lot of neshama and study a lot. And this is got in the prayer, Lishmoa, Lilmod, Ulelamed. Right? Lishmoa, Lilmod, Ulelamed. Okay. With that, I would leave you. Thank you.
Thank you.
תודה רבה.
תודה לך.
We'll see you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.